Your kitchen layout is wrong. And I don't mean a little off. I mean, it's costing you time, money, and probably your sanity every single day. But here's the thing, you don't need a $50,000 remodel to fix it. I'm Blake. Welcome back to Built by Becker. I've designed over 500 kitchens in my 15 plus years of being a contractor, and I see the same layout mistakes over and over again. Today, I'm showing you the 4 biggest ones, and more importantly, how to avoid them before you spend a dime. Whether you're planning a full renovation, whether you're a do-it-yourselfer and just want to refresh, or you're trying to figure out why your kitchen drives you crazy, I'm gonna walk you through the exact principles I use with my pain design clients. We're talking work triangles, functional zones, traffic flow, all the stuff that separates a kitchen that works from one that fights you every day. I'm going to show you how to apply this stuff to your specific space using a tool that we created that gives you professional design help without the professional design price tag. Are you interested? Cool. Hit the like and subscribe button and stick around to the end. Mistake number 1, ignoring the work triangle. You've probably heard of this term before. Let me explain it again, and even a little simpler. The work triangle is the relationship between the 3 most used spots in the kitchen: the sink, the cooktop, the refrigerator. These 3 points should create an efficient, uninterrupted triangle that makes cooking feel natural, not like a workout. But sometimes people renovate their kitchen and make some decisions based on, looks and aesthetics. They move the fridge across the room because it looks better symmetrically. They put a sink under a window for the view, but now it's 10 feet away from the stove. And suddenly you're walking a marathon just to make breakfast or carry a pot of water to the stove. And look, I get it. When you're staring at Pinterest boards and design magazines, you're thinking how cool everything looks and not how many steps you'll take between the fridge and stove. But this is where the beautiful kitchen becomes a frustrating kitchen. So here's the rule. Each leg of the triangle should measure between 4 and 9 feet. Not too close so you feel cramped, not too far away so you need a Fitbit to track your steps. And nothing major should interrupt it. No islands in the middle, no walkways cutting through. Here's where most people get stuck. How do you even know if your layout actually works for a proper triangle? How do you try out different setups to see what fits best? I'm going to show you something I use all the time. This is the Built by Becker Design Specialist. It is an AI-trained version of me that I use for all of my clients when we're in the design phase. Watch what happens when you ask it about a specific space. I have a 12 by 14 kitchen with a window on one wall. Can I fit a work triangle with an island?
In a 12 by 14 kitchen, it's definitely possible to have a functional work triangle, think sink, stove, and fridge arranged for easy movement. And yes, you can include an island as long as you keep the island compact and ensure there's enough clearance around it, ideally about 36 to 42 inches of walkway. A simple yes, you can definitely fit both a work triangle and an island in that space.
So did you hear that? It's analyzing the space and telling us whether it will work. The triangle does work. It goes into the measurements. It shows you why some layouts are more functional and adjust the advice to fit your kitchen size and setup. You can ask it about weird corner situations, whether that island you want will mess up your flow, how to work around load-bearing walls, all of it. I'll show you more of how this works in a minute. But first, mistake number 2 is treating your kitchen like it's only for cooking. Kitchens aren't that simple anymore. You're not just cooking and cleaning, you're prepping meals, making coffee, helping kids with homework, working on your laptop, charging devices, sometimes all at the same time. And if your kitchen doesn't have dedicated zones for these activities, it becomes chaos. You know what I'm talking about. Someone trying to load the dishwasher while they're trying to chop vegetables, and they're both in each other's way, and nobody's happy. It especially happens in open concept layouts where people put a massive island in the middle and think, done. Beautiful. But then they realize that the island is the only functional workspace, so it becomes cluttered, cramped, and just frustrating. So here's what actually works. Dedicated zones for prep, cooking, cleanup, and storage. All these zones need to be beautifully thought out, separated, but still within a work triangle that we just talked about. Your prep zone needs counter space and access to cutting boards, knives, and mixing bowls. Your cooking zone centers around the cooktop with utensils and oils within arm's reach. Your cleanup zone around the sink and dishwasher with dish soap and towels close by. But the challenge is that every kitchen is different. A galley kitchen handles zones completely different than an L shape or an island layout. So let me show you something that makes this way easier. What's the better way to set up the work triangle and distinct work zones in a galley kitchen?
When you're dealing with a galley kitchen, the work triangle concept, meaning the relationship between your sink, your stove, and your refrigerator, still applies, but it's a bit more linear. In a galley kitchen, the best way to set that up is usually to have the sink and the cooking area on one side, and then your refrigerator and maybe some additional prep space on the opposite side. That way, as you move between those zones, you're basically pivoting from one side to the other and maintaining a nice, efficient flow. Overall, the goal is to make sure that each zone flows naturally into the next. That way, your galley kitchen feels both efficient and a pleasure to cook in.
This is one of the tools I've put together specifically for you guys. You can see how to map out zones, ask questions about material, and you can adapt it to any space just by giving it the correct prompts and asking those questions. And if you want to dive a step further, we even have a personalized one-on-one with my team where you get a 90-minute Zoom call and access to all of our design techniques and material selections. Check that out at our website, builtbybeckermedia.com. Let's talk about something that most people completely overlook until it's way too late. Mistake number 3, forgetting about traffic flow. And this one drives me nuts because it's so preventable, but almost nobody thinks about it until the kitchen's already built. You design this beautiful kitchen with perfect zones, perfect triangle, everything looks great on paper. Then you start using it and realize that every time someone walks in from the living room to the hallway, they cut right into the cooking area. Or the fridge door, when it's open, completely blocks the main walkway. Or 2 people literally can't be in the kitchen at the same time without doing an awkward yoga position or shuffle around each other. Traffic flow isn't sexy. It's not going to get you likes on Instagram, but you mess it up and you'll be annoyed every single day. So here's the non-negotiables. Main walkways through the kitchen need to be at least 42 inches wide. 48 if it's high traffic. If you have 2 people working in the kitchen at the same time, you need at least 42 inches between the counter runs. People also forget door swings. Your fridge, dishwasher, wall ovens, they all swing open, right? So you need to make sure they're not blocking crucial pathways when they are. This is where having a professional design team help you with your space and a 3D rendering can show you what your kitchen may look like with the fridge open, with the cabinet doors open, with the pullouts out. This is the kind of thing that gets missed when you're excited about design and just eyeballing it. But asking these questions before you commit to a layout, that's when it's easy to fix. Not after you've spent $50,000+ on a kitchen renovation and realize the oven door hits the island every time you open it. Once you've nailed the traffic flow, there's something even more subtle that you can completely change how your kitchen feels. Guys, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times on this channel. And my number 4 mistake is lighting. Treating lighting like it's just about putting a fixture on the ceiling and calling it done? No way. I see this constantly. Gorgeous cabinets, beautiful countertops, high-end appliances, and one overhead light trying to illuminate the entire room. You can't see what you're cutting, the counters are in the shadows, and the whole space feels flat and uninviting. But guys, lighting isn't just about functional, it's about what makes your kitchen feel warm, welcoming, and actually usable. Get it wrong, and even the most expensive renovation just feels off. I always say this, you need 3 types of lighting working together at the same time. Task, ambient, and accent. Task lighting is for work areas, under your cabinets, over your island, focused on your cooktop. These are non-negotiable if you actually want to see what you're doing. Ambient lighting is your general illumination, usually recessed ceiling lights or a central fixture. This sets the overall mood and fills in all the gaps. Accent lighting is what makes it feel intentional and luxurious. LED strips in the toe kicks, inside the glass cabinets, highlighting architectural details. Most people only do ambient and wonder why their kitchen feels boring. Big surprise, huh? So let me show you how to actually plan this out. We need to bring in one of the tools that breaks down lighting. The tool has an entire section on the lighting placement. It breaks down exactly where to put each type of light based on the layout, ceiling height, and even your cabinet depth. Because yes, cabinet depth matters for under cabinet lighting. That's one of those details that most people don't think about until lights are installed wrong. What lighting do I need for a 10x12 kitchen with 9-foot ceilings? Here's the reality. Most people spend $20,000, $50,000, even $100,000 on kitchen renovations. They hire contractors, pick out beautiful finishes, get everything installed, and then 6 months later realize that something's wrong. And the worst part, by that point, it's too expensive to fix. That's exactly why I put together this entire design kit. Check out their website, and if you're getting ready to do a renovation, this right here will be so helpful for you. Everything I've showed you in this video, it's all in there. It's the same process and frameworks that I use with all of my personal clients, except you're getting access to all of it for less than $20. Right now, it's on sale for $19.99. A one-time payment, lifetime access, no subscription, no hidden fees. A single consultation with a professional kitchen designer can cost you $150 to $300. This you can use as many times as you want and as many rooms that you want. The link is in the description and it's pinned in the comments. Drop a comment if you want to try this tool on another home problem. Could be fun to see what you can do. And once again, I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you for watching Built by Becker.